Hey there API developers, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to take your Express API or even vanilla JS project and transform it into an OpenAPI specification using the Swagger JSDOC library. As a bonus, I'll also show you how you can then take that OpenAPI specification and turn it into a client library, also known as an SDK, for JavaScript, TypeScript, and many other major programming languages. So let's get into it. First, I'll start with a basic Express application and install the Swagger-JSDoc library. This library will take annotations that I specify in JSDoc and turn them into an OpenAPI specification. This is a very generic way of producing an OpenAPI spec, and it will work with any JavaScript framework. However, if you have a specific library you're thinking of, then check out the links down below because there might already be a library designed specifically for your project's framework. But let's continue. I'll first create a configuration file. Let's call it swaggeroptions.js and place it in the root of the project directory. This file includes basic info about the name of the API, its version, a description, and a list of servers where the API is hosted. It will also take a list of routes, read JSDoc annotations from these routes, and use them to generate paths, components, tags, and all the fields needed to produce an OpenAPI specification. Now, let's annotate the project. This project is simple and only has a single root endpoint that responds with a welcome message. Real projects will obviously be much more complex, but annotation can be done incrementally. LLMs like Google Gemini or ChatGPT can also significantly expedite the process of documenting your endpoints. Focus on annotating in sections and testing your OpenAPI specification as you go. Ultimately, you only need to invest the time and effort once to create a long-lasting API document for your project. First, I'll add annotations to the route using JSDoc. This includes information like what type of request it is, human-readable summaries and descriptions, and expected request and response formats. Then, I'll add an additional endpoint here that serves the OpenAPI specification at the /openapi.json endpoint. This is one way to do it, but you could also write a file to disk if you'd prefer. But having a dedicated OpenAPI.json endpoint is beneficial because it provides an easy way to always get the latest OpenAPI spec from your server. And that's all there is to setting up a project to generate an OpenAPI spec. There's plenty of other useful annotations that I haven't covered here, but I'll add some reference links down below to the full set of annotation options available to you. Now, let's try using our OpenAPI specification to automatically generate an SDK for our API so that users can use the SDK rather than making raw API calls. I'll start the Express application in a new terminal and detach it. Then I'll make a new project directory and initialize it by running Liblab init and passing in the URL to my OpenAPI spec. I'll select TypeScript, but you have the option to build SDKs for many other languages as well. Then I'll name my project. Let's call it Express-SDK. And I'll select the GPL license. I'll get prompted to build my project, but I'll say no since I first need to set the base URL, which I'll point to my local server. Now, to create the SDK, I'll just run liblab build. The build process will validate the OpenAPI spec and then start building the SDKs. It takes about 15 seconds. And done. The project is now built. Let's look at the output directory where we can see the generated client library. This TypeScript library is fully built and ready for me to deploy to NPM. But for the time being, I'll just navigate to the examples directory and use it locally. Here you can see the code that we're going to run. It was automatically generated and simply makes a request to the root endpoint. I already started the server earlier, so now I'll just run npm run setup to install the SDK into this example project, and npm run start to make the request. And there we go. We've got the response we expected, and every user of this library will have type completion and documentation as well. And that's really all there is to it. The Swagger JSDoc library makes it possible to generate an OpenAPI spec from your Express project or any other JavaScript API framework. And you can then take that spec and use it in tooling like Liblab to benefit both your users and your own API development. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the links down below. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.